of support. In a lot of cases, people need quite in-depth, complex support, whether that's from social services or Age UK. So all of these organisations working better together could potentially be a good thing. And then the only other point I'd make is it's really important that we raise awareness. We've talked about that quite a lot, but actually there's always going to be a limit to the effectiveness of raising awareness. There'll always be someone who doesn't get the letter, doesn't read it, or the advice is out of date, or they don't understand it, or they don't act on it. So I wouldn't want us to all just put all our eggs in the basket of let's raise awareness. We actually have to do more in terms of putting protections in place. But there's a bit of a role for banks to do that to some degree. There's things like call blocking. You know, it needs to be more than just be aware of these scams, as important as that is.
Thanks, Phil. I've got time for a couple more questions. Lady down the front here, please. Ellie. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Geraldine Dingle and I'm from Possibility People. We're a voluntary sector organisation and a lot of our time is actually spent trying to navigate this complexity for people. My question to you is, with the public purse currently under such pressure, what sort of relationships are you having with health and social care? Because people are in this perpetual loop. They're scammed, it affects their health, they might end up in hospital, then they're in social care. Now I'm wondering, so if I said to you, if one of your police officers went out and actually spoke to somebody about a scam, what sort of response would they get? Would the police officer have some information about local services that perhaps somebody, would they be able to put them in contact with somebody so that they're not continually socially isolated?
So Bernadette, sitting right in front of you there, Bernadette Laurie, and your field of expertise.
Yeah, so when a vulnerable victim of fraud contacts Sussex Police, we send a uniformed response in the first instance. So usually a PCSO would visit and they are well equipped with crime prevention advice, and then they will look to implement some protection measures. So they may contact family members, they may send a referral into adult social care, they may install a call blocker, and one thing which they will do is they will refer them to victim support. So we've got some dedicated victim support caseworkers in Sussex who specifically visit vulnerable victims of fraud, and they will then act as that link to the voluntary sector. So I'm looking at Emily here, and she works for Time to Talk Befriending, and we have quite a seamless link in certain areas of the county where we can take a victim through that journey from a uniform visit through to some enhanced visits from victim support, and then pass them on to Time to Talk Befriending Services and Age UK and other voluntary partners, and they can be really well protected in the long term.
Bernadette, just to kind of put it to bed once and for all, should people think twice about reporting it or feel bad, like they're a pest for reporting this?
Absolutely not. We really encourage reporting because, like I said on the film at the beginning, it's one of the most underreported crimes, and until we start seeing that reporting going up, we don't understand the scale of what's going on.
And I know it's embarrassing, but it would be embarrassing for somebody if you realise you've been done like this. Yeah. But you've got to perhaps swallow that and do something
absolutely,
about
and we really encourage
that.
people not to feel embarrassed because these fraudsters are clever and they're targeting those people deliberately.
Okay, thank you. I think we've got time for one more question if there's one left in our audience. Yes, of course you can.
Just around one of our campaigns, which is Friends Against Scams, which is around, it's not about me educating you on not to be scammed, it's about me educating you what to look out for in your community, your neighbours, your mum, your dad, other people. So for us, we encourage people to become friends. They can do it on the website, and then they pledge to do something. So then that's talk to 5 people about scams, because by talking about these things, if you have an over-the-fence conversation with your neighbour, like we say, talk to your neighbours. Surprisingly, I talk to mine. I talk to mine and mine know me. But you take away that shame element of it. Everybody has been a victim of a scam. Everybody's been targeted by a scammer, a criminal at some point. My mum's been scammed twice in the last month, and this is what I do for my job. Because
I have a word with her.
Well, she had her knee replaced. She's in a period of vulnerability. She was on a lot of painkillers. She wasn't in. Her capacity was dipping at that time. She responded to a scam.
How did you feel about that?
How did I feel?
When she told you what happened, or you found out?
I felt a little bit powerless in the situation. Because I've spoken to her about it as well.
That's interesting. You've got so much knowledge about this.
Yeah,
you
she knows this. She's the least vulnerable person I know in my whole life. She's the cleverest lady I know.
But not right now.
But not at that particular time in her life. And that brought it home. I mean, I obviously clearly talk about this a lot, and I know it's about periods of vulnerability. When it's on your doorstep as well, I mean, she's now out talking to everybody, telling people she's been scammed to try and protect other people.
That's interesting,
But
rather than hide it.
She doesn't hide it.
Oh, I'm sorry that happened, that's really horrible. Okay, and one more question there.
Yeah, hi, my name's Mark Instella. I'm a commercial and public sector fraud investigator.
Hi.
2 years ago I did a freedom of information request for all police forces in the country, and about half responded. The key issue was, in terms of fraud cases, we had about 3%, I think, success rate in terms of convictions. I just wondered if one of the metrics of Sussex Police going forward will be improved at that number.
Isabel?
Yeah, so I missed the very end of it, apologies.
The-
Sorry.
the-
In terms of improving...
Well, the outcome was that of the fraud cases reported to me through the FOI request, only about 3% of the cases were successfully prosecuted.
So we had 5% reporting earlier, and now of those 5%, only 3% are being. If we.
So my question is,
Yeah.
how can we improve that way?
I think in a way, by having Bernadette here has been really helpful, and I'm not going to try and defer this question to her. I think convictions is really important, but sometimes it's actually more a question of what positive outcomes do we achieve. I don't think we need to simply measure something in terms of how many cases we get to court. We recognise the vulnerability of many of the victims that have been targeted in this way. Some simply don't want to go through the criminal justice system, but actually a positive outcome is still around putting all of the protection measures in place and actually preventing them from being re-victimised. So I think it depends on the emphasis you place on a conviction rate. If you look at it as a very one-dimensional measure of how successful we are in terms of either preventing people being re-victimised, being victims in the first place, but actually protecting them, putting the right measures in place to support them as a result of being a victim. So, I mean, I can't sit here now and say I can give you chapter and verse in terms of what our conviction rates are. What we've heard are some of the difficulties where we've got sort of more global or international criminals operating. And I think in terms of having those positive relationships, notwithstanding what Bernadette said, the money goes, there are opportunities to build on that. So actually the pool of cases that we can get a positive criminal justice outcome become greater. We're fishing in a bigger pool ultimately. So I'm hoping that goes some way to answer your question, that it's not just about what happens at court.
It's not the metrics, it's a wider picture.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Keith Sharp, MoneyGram, you wanted to pick up on that?
Yeah, something that's pertinent to this question is that the vast majority of the crimes that we're talking about tonight, the suspects, or the criminals if you like, are not in this country. It's going to be virtually impossible for Sussex to convict any criminals. They're not going to go to West Africa and bring people back here and charge them with offences. That is just not going to happen. I think it's something that we haven't spoken about tonight is the suspects. This has been focused quite rightly tonight on victims and vulnerable victims. But something that we haven't spoken about is the criminals. And I think it's our political masters should be bringing pressure to bear on the countries where a huge amount of these frauds are going to, for those countries to do something about it and assist our law enforcement. As a private company, I go to those countries and I speak to those police and try to get them to do an investigation. The crimes that Bernadette and I have spoken about previous to this, I've been to Nigeria and spoken to the police in Nigeria in an attempt to get them to take that up as an investigation. And we're a private company. That should be the police that are doing that. And working that process between the two countries, the two law enforcement communities, and getting it working. But I think to make it work properly, we need some political pressure on those particular countries to get them to actually do something about it.
Are those local police that you visit receptive? Do they get it? Are they trying to stop it?
They are, yeah.
Or they show off, thanks for
in fairness to them, they are not as well equipped as the police service in this country. And there are challenges in those countries in law enforcement. We understand that, and certainly the police in this country understand that. But just because there are challenges, that doesn't mean to say we do nothing about it. Because at the moment, we're going to be here in 10 years' time talking about victims, that we've still got victims, and the criminals are in these other countries and are just continually victimising the people in this country.
Okay, Thank you all very much indeed. Let's do some voting, shall we? So on your seats when you came in, you should have a red card, a green card, and I believe an orange card. Is that right? So
Just red and green.
just red and green. Beg your pardon. Right, red and green. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Green if you agree with it. Red if you don't. Use your emoticons if you're watching us on Facebook. That's going to confuse the heck out of some people. What is one of them? So here's your first question. Should there be one national number to report fraud to? Green for yes, red for no. One national number. So, like you've got 999 for the police, that is a unanimous. Is that? Can anybody see any red?
No.
I can't see the. No. Okay, so that's unanimously a yes to that, please. So if we could have that by Tuesday, that would be nice.
We're working on it.
Well, you've got 101.
Hang on a minute. You got action. You said action fraud. You said 101. I said 999.
No, you wouldn't try 999. That's when you're the crime.
No. But which number do I call?
That is the whole point.
Right, so that is carried. One number, that kind of makes sense to everybody here. Right. Anti-fraud and scams messaging should be clearer and supported by national coordinated campaigns. Yes or no? Whether that's dropping one leaflet in with every council tax bill, that's the same leaflet with the same number on it. That's, apart from a couple, predominantly Greens. Are we agreed? Yes, thank you. So clearer messaging on that one, thank you. Next, should there be tougher sentences for those deliberately targeting older residents? I would love to say for the purposes of the radio it's a sea of red, but it's a sea of green. Okay. That is assuming that we can catch the criminals, which as we know is much of it is overseas. And finally, there should be, penultimately, there should be better international collaboration to tackle organised crime and to return money to fraud victims. That's also all Greens, but, okay, out of all those who voted there, do you think that's likely to happen? Green for yes, red for no. We got one green. I just wanted to...
And it is happening, isn't it?
I just wanted to see the red cards, just to check you had them. And finally, because I was really intrigued by that thought earlier in the week about hate crime and whether it should be categorised as that, whether it should be separate. Should targeting older people in this way to try and take their life savings or their pensions off them be considered a hate crime in itself? That's a no to that one. Okay? It's a hateful crime, is what Katie said earlier. Okay. That's it from me. Thank you all very much. Back to Katie Bourne. Just to wrap up. Closing comments.
I wasn't expecting to wrap up, but I think you'll agree it's been a really productive evening, quite challenging some of the questions that came forwards, particularly the binary one. I'm still trying to work that one out. Sorry to Richard for that one. But a really big thank you to everybody here who's taken time out of their evening to come. I hope you found it really helpful tonight and that you feel a bit more assured that certainly in Sussex, fraud is being taken very seriously. And would you put your hands together and join me in thanking not just panel members but also to Danny for taking time out of his evening tonight to host this on behalf of BBC.
It was an absolute pleasure. It was very informative, and we'll have probably a good chunk of our conversation to play for you on the radio tomorrow morning at 9. There's my plug. So you'll get a free plug. Thank you very much. Time